Welcome back, everybody. It is Tuesday night, and that means another episode of Theater and Tech Trends. All right, and tonight I've got two of my buddies, and we were just talking about where we met, right? And so we all met last year at, or I guess maybe this year at CES in January, and then last year at CEDIA. But I'm super happy to have both Mike Braithwaite and Lost Nielsen joining tonight. And these gentlemen represent a couple of different companies that do really, really cool things that if you don't have in your home, someone that you know probably does, or at least hopefully will soon, because I'm pretty excited about both the products. Now, a lot of folks are going to be out in the audience, so HiFi Haven, welcome. Don't be shy today to drop in with questions. We don't have to wait to the end, so if there's something that you're dying to know, just reach out and drop that in the comments. Van Gool, welcome. Good to see you here in the audience. But with that, I think we'll go ahead and do some quick introductions. I think we'll just do quick introductions each. So I'm going to audible just a little bit, right? And then we'll go in and talk about modern atomics. So first introduction, Mike, welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Absolutely. So Mike, maybe you can tell people who you are, what you do, and why they should care.
Absolutely. So I'm one of the co-founders of Modern Atomics. We are here to help save the Earth one shade at a time. Just nice. A little tagline. But we build power supplies that are very interesting, or at least we think they are. And they're very intelligent power supplies. Most people's power supplies, you just plug it in and let it go, and that's it. Ours are very sophisticated, so they know what you plugged in. The other thing is these are big power supplies to do lots of shades. So the typical power supply we have will do 22 to 24 shades, but there's no AC connection. So that's one of the first things that people get a little caught off guard with. They're like, where do we plug in the mains, or where do we plug in the power? And there is no mains input. And so our unit is really designed to be 100% off grid. So inside of our power supplies, we have a very large ESM unit, and eventually it's quite a big capacity, but eventually even we will run out of power. So typically what a user will do is they'll connect a solar panel to a port on the front that's called a bus end. And that's kind of a harvesting input. If you don't have solar panels, we do include like little PoE injectors, because we can take a little bit of the charge off the PoE. But that's the quick version of what these reactors.
Right on. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll get into this in depth here in just a minute. But before that, let's say hello to Lost. Oh, let me get it right. Lost Nielsen.
You're not the first one.
Canvas HiFi. So Laos. So tell everybody who you are, what you do, and why they should care.
Yes. Well, my name is Lost Nielsen. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Canvas HiFi. And we made this new system. Well, you might call it a soundbar. It's more than that. But what it essentially do is that it merges together, seamlessly designed to merge together with your TV, but actually it generates real hi-fi, not just as a soundbar that can sound good, but this is actually us trying to get back to real hi-fi as it should be. And I will, of course, explain more about that.
Awesome. Great. And just so everybody knows, a little sneak peek, I actually got to hear this in person, and the sound quality, even in a room that wasn't all that great for listening, was amazing. So, but we'll talk more about that.
Thank
you. Laos, thank you for the intro and welcome to the show. And then I think we've been joined by Mad Prano's got a comment out there. So hi to everybody. As I said, if you're just joining, if you have questions, please drop those in the comments. And for all of you people that aren't saying hi, please introduce yourself out there in the comments. Love to say hi to everybody in the audience. Okay, so Mike, you're going to be on the hot seat first here, right?
All right.
Yeah. So, um, let's talk a little bit more about, I guess, the reactor, right? And what does this thing do, and why would someone want to put this in their home, right? Because I've got a lot of shades around here, and I've ended up with like shades from different manufacturers and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, what does this do that doesn't come like kind of packaged in when you buy this kind of technology from someone?
Great question. So, first of all, our shade supplies are a lot smaller and higher density than what you usually see. So, the same size of our unit for almost any other brand out there, most of those brands in that size are going to run about 8 to 10 shades,
Hmm.
and in that same physical space. So it's 1.25 inch high by 8.5 inch wide. In that same space, we can do really 22. We have 22 shade ports on that, and so we get a lot more shades in the same in a less amount of room. They are designed to go in racks and also wall box. So some people can mount them in an equipment rack, which also saves a little bit of space from the walls. Today, you don't get the same kind of utility space that they used to have, where you take a big chunk of the wall and have all that. The other thing is the cost. So this is about half the price of any of the shade power supplies that are out there.
Oh wow.
Um, so that wins a lot of projects. And the next part is it really is saving a lot of energy. So if you have one of these other name brand power supplies and you plug them in, um, they're burning power the whole time. So let me ask you guys a question. How many times does someone operate a shade per day, like on average? What do you think it is?
Well, I
Like,
can tell you what my average is. We operate shades on average twice a day. Once to open it in the morning and once to close it in the evening. That's
okay.
pretty much it. And the
So,
runtime is, I don't know, 15 or 20 or 30, whatever it takes to go.
okay, so 15 seconds. Is that fair? 15
Yeah,
seconds.
that's totally fair. Yeah, totally fair.
Okay, and you did it twice.
Yep, that's my average. Sometimes we'll adjust a little bit, but not usually.
So, okay, but that's 30 seconds a day.
Yep.
So what is the power supplies doing for 23 hours and 59 minutes, 30 seconds?
Yeah, I assume that it's just sitting there sucking down the juice, right?
Yes. And they leave it on because they don't know when the person's going to hit the button or tell the Josh close the shades.
Yep.
Since you don't know that, they leave the power on all the time. And this is where our power supply comes in handy. We remove the power from the shade. So for that 99.75% of the time, there is no power. If you took a multimeter out at your shade and put it on the head, you'd see there's 0 volts out there, 0 power. Now, it comes back the same thing again. Well, what happens when the user hits the button?
Yeah.
So
That's the question.
there's 2 things that we do. Since we're the one connected to the shade motor, since we're the ones providing power, if the command is coming over the network, we see it. And it takes different shade motors have different times, but it's anywhere from 20 to 40 milliseconds by the time we have turned back on the power and we can relay the command through. That's not enough time for you to notice a delay. But if you had a scope on there, you would see that there is a delay in that.
Sure.
But because of that, we really are reducing the amount of power you're using. And in a big shade project where you had 20 or 30 shades on some of these homes, or even more, we have some that get in the hundreds of shades.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That adds up. That adds up quick. There's names for that. We typically will call that an operational quiescent current issue, meaning there's power there, but there's no load. And so by
Gotcha.
removing that, it does save quite a bit. And keep in mind, there's no AC either. So we don't have an AC input. We don't need an electrician. We don't need this, again, can run 100% off grid if you have some sort of renewable like a solar panel. If you don't, then you use a small PoE injector. And even that small injector, that's using like 1 watt. It's nowhere near what the motors are pulling.
Sure.
So
Right on. So then this is compatible with many different brands of shades, right? I guess you would have to be kind of universal so that you can be put into these different jobs, because I'm sure there are different shades that are made for different functions that different companies make, right?
That's correct. We have a unit that's called Reactor. That is the one that's kind of for Somfy type motors. But if somebody has a Lutron motor or anybody else's motor, we have another unit. Looks just like the Reactor, has all the same ports, and it really looks the same, slight printing differences. And that one can do any motor that's on the market. We actually call it the agnostic one. So any motor you plug into it, it will power it. And we have profiles for all of the motors, so we even know what you've plugged into it. And the last thing that's kind of there that's interesting, there is a translation layer that we have. And what it does is it allows the customer, like in your case, if you had a particular type of remote control or keypad, and we don't even care what brand it is. So if it's a Lutron remote or somebody's remote, and you have Somfy shades, we do the translation between that. So you can use that Lutron remote and control the Somfy shades as an example, or vice versa. So,
oh, that's kind of cool. So what in general, gosh, I don't even know how to ask this question. So, there are going to be some jobs, or hopefully a lot of jobs, where there's a lot of forethought put into the design, right? And they pick products that work well together. On the flip side of that, though, they're like people like me, and I'm like opportunistic, like, oh, I can get this shade for cheap right now. I'm going to get this one shade, and so I'll end up with like 8 different shade manufacturers, and right, and then it becomes an unholy nightmare of trying to figure out how to power this stuff. So what I heard then is, you can use. How would you even? I'll just ask you. I can't even conjecture. How would you integrate all that stuff in?
Okay, so on the product that we have called Neutron, it really doesn't care what the protocol is, and even we don't even care what the voltage is per se. We have some limitations on that, of course, but generally, as soon as you plug it in, we do queries to it, and so we can tell by the response, or even lack of response in some cases, of what it is. And all of these motors have a signature. There's some impedance characteristics from just their board that's connected to the motor and things like that. So a lot of these, we already know what the motor is. And on the Neutron version, you can literally put different types and all of that on. So that's one that probably would work for you.
Right on. Now, from a control tool point of view, would you then use like a control system from Modern Atomics, right? And then modern your box would then say, okay, I see 15 shades and I know what they are, and then all of the commands will come in to me from whatever that external device is. Maybe it's Control 4 or something. I don't know.
Okay, so a little bit to unpack there. If you don't have a control system, then you can use these devices like just go to Home Depot, literally buy a Lutron Pico remote, and you can use that to control one of your shades, and it doesn't matter what type of shade it is. That's the part where a lot of people find a huge value. However, as you said, if you have a control system, then all the control systems work perfectly with this. We have a variety of ports that you would connect the control system or the hub or whatever they have to do the controls into it. And for things like Bond is a good example. A lot of people use the Bond Bridge Pro, and that will connect to us over the network. And so,
Gotcha.
So there is a wide variety of, and we're pretty compatible. We have all the third-party control system in our lab, and we do extensive qualifications and testing just to make sure that everybody it all works. So it is just a power supply. So it's really funny because you said, "Is this the control system?" And the truth is, if you don't have a budget for controls, or you just want to do some simple things, it can be kind of a basic control system. But most people that are doing big shade jobs, they're going to have some, well, they're like a Savant or a Control 4 restaurant. They're going to have something like that. And
that's cool. Right on. So, I think maybe people have a foundation now. But one thing that you mentioned to me before that I didn't know existed is there's a trade show just for shades, right? And it makes sense, right? Because there's trade shows for everything, right? Shades are a huge, big business, right? Every home in the world has got multiple shades, and there's different kinds. There's for windows, and there's for big doors, and for blah blah. There's everything, but you got to attend what I guess is the granddaddy of all shows. Let me tell you. Let me see if I get this right. The International Window Covering Expo.
Yes.
Right, and so does that include like drapes and shades and
they have draperies, they have all kinds of shades, exterior shades, interior shades. I mean, the whole show is shades. And so this year, in fact, it was last week in West Palm Beach, Florida. And they broke all records, attendance records, exhibitor records. So it's definitely growing. And it's a very cultivated attendee, because almost everyone there, when we go to other shows, there's other really good shows. We had a great ISC Integration Systems Europe show in Barcelona back in February, and we won. In fact, the reactor won the top new technology award at that show.
Nice.
And so that was a great show. However, the people at that show, most of them don't do shades. So it's like that's an AV show, speakers, microphone. Like there's a lot of that, and just a small portion is our guys doing shades. But at this IWCE, everyone really was there for shades.
So you must be a rock star at this show, right? Because you've got one of these products that's really like glue for all of everything, right? You can bring them all together, whether they like it or not.
Well, it saves money. It makes the deployments much faster, much quicker, because you don't have to have electricians and other things involved. It can really lower even the deployment costs. And here's something that happened at this show on the first day, surprised us even, and that was a really, really nice lady. Her name was Erica. Bless you. Erica Maya, and she has this company in Florida called In the Shade, and she's a beautiful lady, and she's not the usual type. Usually we're talking to men and nerds and geeks, and they're coming up and they love these big power supplies and all this stuff. Well, she came up and she was talking with everybody, spent a lot of time in her booth, and she said a very interesting comment. She said, I came to IWCE to find a new power supply for my shading projects. And I was blown away. I've never even heard that even from a geek or somebody like that. And just this, this professional that does shading all the time. That's all she does. It was amazing to hear someone come in like that, and kind of took us away a little bit like that, because we had never heard a comment like that of somebody coming to a show just to find a shade power supplies.
That's awesome. And I'm sure you're like, let me tell you what, I got the thing for you.
She came to the right place. That is for sure. And she already signed up to be a dealer, and she's already doing projects and buying stuff. So yeah, it was amazing. Great show.
That's cool. Anything that you saw there that was interesting to you? Anything new from your perspective that kind of stuck out?
Well, the big thing in shades is PoE motors. So up until recently, there really weren't any PoE motors. They were still all either 45 or some wireless type, like a Zigbee Matter, RTS, or like a Lutron Clear Connect. So it was one of those. Usually it's those types. But what you're starting to see come on strong, and at this show, there's no question, there were new motors that had high torque, which means you could do the bigger windows. So there's a PoE motor that Somfy introduced that has 9 Newton meter. That's really good for the industry, because that means I really can do any interior window that I want just with PoE. And
hear that, everybody, 9 Newton meters.
Well, up until recently, the biggest PoE motor was only like 2 Newton meters.
That puts it in perspective right there. I mean, that's huge. So 5 times as much juice.
2 Newton meter, just as an example of a motor like that can do like about a 5 to 6 foot a wide window by maybe 5 or 6 feet down, and for 2 Newton meter. But when you have a 9 Newton meter motor, you can do a big great room or giant window and things like that. The only thing that we don't have yet is an exterior PoE motor. And at Modern Atomics, we do build a really interesting PoE switch, which, just like reactors, no power, no AC, no fans. It is a very interesting little PoE switch that can do 24 PoE motors from it. And so, we're getting lots of attention. We feel honored and we feel blessed. We've had a good run and good feedback from dealers, and we've always enjoyed talking to you, of course, Giles. And
I appreciate that.
Happy to talk about this.
That's cool. Well, so before we shift gears over to Laos, there are a couple of more topics that I want to touch on that I think are particularly important today, right? And one is sustainability, right? That's always important. But then also, we're dealing with tariffs and the impact on business. So, what are your thoughts on those items?
Well, this might be a little unorthodox, but the tariff thing to us is kind of we don't blame politicians or things that are happening on tariffs. When we look at it, we would say that, and I heard this earlier before we started the recording, there was the talk about just in time. Well, just in time works for our dealers and all of that. And we understand why, because they're small businesses and they don't maybe have the cash flow or the financing to not do just in time. So
right. And just for everybody out there that doesn't know what that is, just in time is a kind of a fulfillment philosophy, so that you're not inventorying a lot of parts or stock, right? So the things that you need are shipped and delivered to you just in time. So you have to depend on a very highly developed, sophisticated, timed fulfillment system, so that as you need parts, they arrive when you need them, so that you're not stuck. Because if they don't come, that's
right.
tough, right?
And our whole industry is based on just in time. So don't get me wrong. However, for a professional manufacturer, if you're developing products, we look at that as if tariffs is hurting you right now, we look at that as a leadership failure. And the reason we say that is we want, as a professional manufacturer, you're there to support the dealers for years. On our products, we put a 10-year transferable warranty. So we think it's unresponsible not to have enough parts that you could be manufacturing for you. So we manufacture our products in Palacios, Texas. Now, not everything that is in our product is available like in the USA. Like the example is like chips. So we use like ST microelectronics processors, those kind of chips. Those aren't even made in the US. So we have to get those from other countries. Now, but the issue is, again, this is why we say a failure of leadership. We buy enough of those processors, so even if we never got another shipment from them, we could still build or warranty things for several years. And we have not adjusted our pricing. We don't plan to adjust our pricing. And so that's kind of why I say it's a little bit of a leadership issue, I would say. And we understand there are people that get caught in cycles of development and things like that. But that's kind of how we look at that. As far as the sustainability, earlier, I believe, Faust, you said the culture of throwing stuff away. And
right, and we're gonna talk about kind of throwaway electronics culture in the next segment a bit, right? Yeah,
that's right. I apologize. Only one statement there is, and we're on a committee of Save.AV, which is there is a complete subcommittee that just is called the Second Life, and I think it will tie in well with your discussions. It's
right on.
It's a cool nonprofit organization that helps less fortunate companies or organizations who don't have big budgets, who maybe can't afford giant, AV systems or conference rooms, but it helps them find a place for some of the equipment. So anyways, that's
that's cool. I mean, it sounds like it's a repurposing kind of situation, right? So you'll have company X that has big budgets and special needs, right? And they have to refresh on a much more rapid pace than other companies. So they can take their discards, right? And then
which are usually perfectly still working.
Yep. And then they could be repurposed and the life continues, right? For low or maybe no cost, who knows, right? For organizations that just don't have the budget for it. That's pretty cool. Yeah, no, I like that. And like I said, we'll talk more about that, but I'm a huge fan of equipment that, even outside of the retasking a piece of equipment that has been shuttered by one company, but gear that can grow over time, right? And there are a number of brands that do that kind of thing. But anyway, we'll talk about that in just a second. So, but I think this is a good point, I think, to shift gears, and we're going to shift over to Laos. So, Mike, thank you so much. And you're going to hang out with us for a little while. If you have any thoughts or questions, please put them out there. Then everybody in the audience, if you do have additional questions or thoughts for Mike, you can feel free to put them out there. But Laos, you are on the hot seat now. So maybe we can dig in a little bit more deeply into exactly, the product that Canvas HiFi has put out there. So what exactly are you doing?
Well, as I mentioned, it's actually the philosophy has been how to bring real hi-fi into people's living rooms again. I have been selling sound bars and equipment for many years in my shops here in Denmark. I have different concepts. Me and my family have been doing this for generations. And for many years, myself has been selling sound bars with units sticking in all directions and trying to do some wannabe surround sound. And somehow down the road, it eroded the real hi-fi experience. We got further and further away from this, this feeling of wanting to sit down and listen to a real good music and getting the music in under your skin, so to speak. So we wanted to bring that back into people's living rooms and doing it in a way where it also would look beautiful and kind of seamlessly could go into the interior design. As you can see it here in the picture.
Let me pull up the web page here so people can see a little bit larger what this looks like, right? And how wide is this so people can get an idea of the size that we're looking at here?
It's exactly the same brightness as a 55-inch TV, so it matches 100% a 55 inch TV in
so it's like around 50 inches wide, something like that, maybe 48, 51 or something. Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
And well, I'll get back to that with the sizes and so on. But as you can see in the picture here, what we do is we merge this underneath your TV, and we have designed this special brackets. So what actually happens is that you put on your TV to the Canvas HiFi system,
right?
Exactly where you're pointing now.
Yep.
And this is if I may say so, quite brilliant, this bracket, because what it does is it can be calibrated both in the depth and in the heights to any TV, any size. So what you do is you can place the TV there and you can calibrate it so it goes 100% slick with the sound system, and it merges together as one seamless design when you adjust this.
Right. So the bracket, this part that I was going to point with my finger. Nobody can see but this part bolts to the back of the television.
Exactly.
And then this is the the audio section, and then it can move, in and out so that the depth is correct and is completely flush and
Exactly.
creates a very elegant look. Okay, right on.
Yeah.
That's cool. Right on.
Exactly. And then when you merge together the sound system, the Canvas HiFi system, and the TV, you can then hang it all together on the wall or place it on the floor. So you have various placements opportunities. And this is also quite important, because then you can actually, if your if your home situation, living situation changes, it's good now because you can put it wherever you want. But it's brilliant in, for example, 10 years if your housing situation changes. So you will always be able to use this universal TV mount that is both a TV mount but also a floor stand. It can be transformed. So
nice. Right on.
this system will be able to
like that.
Exactly. That's it. The hybrid foot and wall mounts. So whenever your situation changes, you can put it to fit your housing situation.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about the speaker complement, what you've got going on there? So this is a 2-channel left, right. So true audio, stereo, kind of presentation of sound, correct?
Yeah. Well, as the bass mid-range, we have two high-end SB acoustics paper cone, long exhaustions, 6.5
These
inches
guys right here.
die-cast. Exactly. And we have, as the tweeters, we have also two SB acoustics, 29mm slick drone, with the special designed wave guides, and as the passive radios, we have two SB acoustics, low noise, high precision, long extortions, the passive radiators. It is basically a stereo system, but what makes it unique, and this was one of the things we had to solve to be able to call it real hi-fi. One of our big challenges was that to be able to call it real hi-fi, you will normally have to place the speakers by the to make this soundstage.
Right.
And this was where we were very lucky to meet Edgar from Princeton University, who had developed this BARC 3D, Princeton University in the US. This BARC 3D technology actually solved the problem that we had to make the sound space very wide, as if the speakers were very wide placed from each other. And this is a mind-blowing experience when you hear it. It is what it basically does is that the BARC 3 makes sure that your left ear only hear the left speaker, and your right ear only hear the right speakers. It's kind of a noise cancelling system. And the new thing about this system is that it doesn't colorize the sound at all. This is something new. So without any colorization of the sound, you have this mind-blowing experience that the speakers are far about. Actually, it can kind of it goes 180 degrees around you. And when you hear it, it is very, very convincing. I believe you heard it, Jules.
I did. So this was a little while ago, and I was rather surprised and pleased at the sound quality. Right. So, particularly since this is not what you think of when you think of soundbars traditionally, right? You typically think of, a main unit that's stuffed with, I don't know, like left, right, center, surround, side, Atmos, top, right, and drivers are pretty small. And then you have a bunch of satellites and subwoofers and all this stuff. This is the whole unit, right? So this is the whole ball of wax. The amplification is inside of the unit, correct? And then all you have to do is connect some type of output from your television to this unit and then your power main, and you're good to go, right?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. And I thought it presented a very, very good stereo experience. Right. So had a very good sound stage, was quite good full range sound, without having a subwoofer. So I was very pleased there. The folks that are like, I need 8 21-inch subwoofers probably wouldn't be happy with it. But, I think for most any listener that's looking for an engaging 2-channel experience, it's definitely worth a listen. And it, for me, I think the most compelling piece for this is for those that are really 2-channel music fans, right? People that really want a good 2-channel experience. This is the kind of sound system. If they're not going to go with a full-blown, huge separate set, I think this is, the way to go. If you need a more discrete, compact environment, but you want that kind of sound, man, this is, for me, it was really good. Yes, Hi-Fi Haven. I will one day hopefully be able to do that. But yeah, I was very impressed.
Thank you.
Yeah, cool. So let's talk a little bit about some other stuff, and I want to dive maybe first into the Bach 3D technology, right? Because I don't really have a good feel for that and what's going on, but it sounds to me like that's the secret sauce for the system.
Well, it's one of the secret sauce. Actually, we have 35 patents pending in the system.
Oh, wow.
One of the things we needed to solve was we wanted to make a cabinet that weren't too big,
right?
But and not too deep. But we wanted to be rocket solid cabinet, so we made this bridge branch systems that stiffens the cabinet in the same way if you will stiffen a bridge. And this bridge branch makes it very, very stiff and very, very rocket solid, but will while keeping the volume in the cabinet. This makes this very discreet design, but with a huge soundstage.
I'm trying to. Was that a little bit in the breakaway drawing?
Yeah, it is. It is actually in the breakaway drawing.
Let me go back.
The front page.
Yeah,
there
exactly.
We go. Yeah,
all these
exactly.
guys right here. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So this was one of the things we wanted to solve, and combined with using real high-end units from Danish SB Acoustics that you would normally see in much more expensive speakers, and then combined with the Bach 3D, all of this combination went up in a kind of higher solutions where we got that real good sound by the end of the day. And this, maybe I make it sound easy, but this is a bit very,
it's not easy.
It has been developed it was since 2018, 2017. So it had been developed in various stages until we got to this perfect solution and combination. And what also made the experience is that when you make rocket solid cabinet and real good speakers, we know that it will sound good now, but we also know that it will even sound better after a while, and in 20 years it will still sound really good. And this is also why we made it so flexible. And to get back to what we talked about earlier, the size of the sound system, you need a 55-inch TV to go with that. But then if you want to put on a bigger TV, you just get a bigger front for the TV. I think we have that exactly here. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Showing it, yeah.
So if you want to change to a bigger size TV, all you do is actually you just change the front. You keep the same Canvas HiFi system. It'll be with you kind of for life. And then as your need for TV changes, you just change the front. And then you can click on a even bigger size TV. And now in this illustration, we are showing 55-inch to 77-inch, but we just recently also went to 83 inches and 85 inches, and
Okay.
we have actually customized some 98 inches as well for customers who wanted that. So in this way, we can really adjust as the users want to change their TV, whether it's for a bigger TV or another model or another brand. And that was actually also very important for us when we developed it to be sure that the customer could always choose freely from any TV, any brand, any size, and it would connect and both in the design and technical, it would connect with whatever you have or whatever you buy in the future.
So I have one question about, implementation. So I'm watching the animation here for the Keep It Simple, right? And, I love the way that it gives you a very nice aesthetic in the room. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But how are people secreting away their devices? So their game system or their streamer box or whatever. Do you put in a box behind the TV and put everything in there? Is that the way it works?
Yeah. If you take the exploding view a little higher again, you will see that the bracket for the TV, where you put the TV on the top, it's not only a converter bracket to put the TV, it's actually also a technique room. So inside this, you have room for your router, your plugins, your Apple TV, your gaming unit, whatever you have. So when you have it standing on the floor or hanging on the wall, it's kind of the whole system, the TV and the front of the canvas is kind of hovering from the wall a little bit. And then behind you have this box where you can put all the electronics, all the cabling, all of this, which normally look stressful in a home. You can put it all away, and as well the controllers, you kind of have a little shelf in the back. Slim place for it all. So everything comes seamless away, wrapped up in Danish design. And this is what we're trying to illustrate in this Keep It Simple.
Yeah, it is really an elegant solution. And I think that's a great segue into really talking about the efforts that you've put into building this so that you can make this fit in with your interior design. And I think there's this, maybe it's under the design section, because it's not just one fascia that you have for this, right? I mean, we're looking at the wood slat here, but let me see, is it in here? No, I don't think I clicked on it, because I think there was a section that showed like all the different, like you can do cloth and you can do wood. And all right, so here's an example of the wood, and then there's different flavors of that. Oh, see, and different cloths as well, and there are a lot of options, right?
There is. We work together with the Danish fabric design brand called Kvadrat, well known for exclusive furnitures and for the fabrics, and the designed special sound transparent fabrics in a really nice design, and being the user, being able to design the canvas for the living space, so it will fit in perfectly, and also be able to change it down the road when the housing situation changes. They want another look. They can also just change the front, change the fabric, or maybe change it from fabric to wood. That gives a more organic expression. So in that sense, the customer will be able to customize the design to the living room, so it fits perfectly in. What we have been focused on is the typical Danish Nordic design, internal design. So this is also kind of our DNA in our design, whether you choose wood or different kind of fabrics. But actually, it's also very popular just to take the black one to make it melt together with the TV.
Right.
So you can do whatever fits you.
And you could buy 10 different ones if you wanted to, right? And then just
Yeah,
every
actually,
day of the week. Yeah.
there's 30 different fronts to choose among.
I need to put in I need to put in my request now for one with pictures of Santa Claus.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly.
so I could do my holiday themed television customization.
Yeah,
Why not, right? No,
yeah, exactly.
that's cool. That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit. There's another topic that you wanted to touch on this, and we mentioned this a little bit earlier with Mike, and you've alluded to this. This is a product that's really designed to stick around for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of electronics out there that have what is it, scheduled obsolescence or something like that. I don't know what the exact term is, but they're designed to be kind of short-term use, throwaway kind of stuff, and non-repairable. And I've had a number of sound bars, and they're like filled with resin. You can't open them up to fix them if you even wanted to, right? You take a hammer and chisel, and it's not going to help. So what's the point of view of you and Canvas around equipment that is something that you're going to hold on to for a while?
Yeah. Well, it was one of the very important philosophy when we made it and designed it. Was it should be sticking around almost forever. The idea is that as I said before, I have been selling a lot of solutions in various designs. I've had a Löwe gallery and Bang & Olufsen shop and different shops in the years gone by. But the experience is that, well, TV you need to change like every 5th, 6th year because of the development.
Sure, absolutely.
There's a very rapid development in smart TV and panels and so forth. But having a real good solid speaker and good solid units, as we spoke of earlier, we know that they will keep on sounding good also in 20 years. So the idea was to make a solution that first of all it fits any TV, any design now and in the future. So when as you want to change your TV, you don't need to change the canvas; it'll stick with you. So being able to do this every 5th, 6th, 7th years was very important. And then it was always so very important to make it changeable in the placement as your housing situation changed. So as we spoke, the hybrid foot and wall bracket, so you can place it wherever you want in the future also. And then it was also very important service-wise. If something happens suddenly there's a new kind of HDMI plug in or whatever, we made it very not only OTA upgradable over the air as many of other brands are having, but we also made it upgradable mechanically. So it's actually very easy just to take out the switch.
I saw that on the website. Let me see if I can find that. I think it showed. Is it under technology?
Technology in the bottom.
Let's see if I can make this go. All right. I know that was here somewhere. And there's your app. Oh yeah, we should talk about the all the
exactly.
There we go. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is just a couple of screws, and then you can pull it out and you can change it. This is very important service-wise, so that it's easy to service and help customers also on the distance if there should be appear anything, but also upgradable-wise. It's very easy to upgrade to a newer unit if something happens that where you need to do this.
That makes a lot of sense, right? So you can see here that you've got your HDMI eARC port right there, but then who knows, in 10 years maybe everything's going to go to video over IP, right, or audio over IP, and then you need to have an AES kind of functionality, right, with Ethernet. Who knows, right? That's cool. Yeah, no, I really like the capability of being able to take equipment and then over time upgrade and not have to pay big bucks to rebuy. There's a video processor called Storm, and they have different modules. So I think there are people are familiar with that concept, but I don't know of another soundbar form factor manufacturer that's baking in that kind of thought process, right? Because those really have been thought of almost as kind of disposable systems, and this is anything but that. And I think the sound quality really speaks to the work that you put into producing the product. Now,
Well, not another thing in that
oh,
matter
sure.
is that we also made it very open source kind of. A lot of customers already have some stuff. It could be a Sonos customer who has Sonos all around the house. It could be a Bose customer or Harman customer or Bang & Olufsen customer. And they have different system, different apps from the developer. It could be, for example, a Sonos app, and they like to use that because the whole house is funded in that, and they're used to using it. So this bracket that we talked about earlier is also a technical room. We also made space that you could plug in those different kind of units. So if you want to stay in that universe of using your Sonos app or a Bang & Olufsen app or whatever your universe you're used to, we can plug in Sonos's case, that will be a Sonos Connect, and then it will go connected to the canvas, and the canvas would know that when this guy starts, this will take over the control of the canvas. So in this
That's
sense,
pretty cool.
we are very open source minded, both to be able to make sure that the customer, whatever they have, it fits, but also to be able to ensure in the future that whatever the customers wants to change or do in the future, canvas will still fit in the future just by using these plugins.
Right. I just want to make sure that whenever I turn the television on, that the canvas comes on, and then it will tell Mike's shade controller to close the shades for me so that there's no light coming from the windows. All right. So, as I tell everybody that, seeing is believing and hearing is believing. And I think in, this instance, hearing absolutely is believing. And for folks that want to hear this, how can they do that? And, the vast majority of my audience is in the US. So from a US perspective, where can people experience Canvas HiFi?
Well, right now we have dealers in California and in Texas. We are expanding the dealer network. So at the moment, some people would have to travel a little bit, but we are expanding very rapidly. Of course, as we spoke on earlier, these tariffs is slowing it a little bit down, just pausing that part, going quite as rapid. We have a lot of dealers coming in, and what we, speaking about tariffs, what we did was we heightened the price a little bit on the canvas to cope with that, so this has been partly solved, but who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, the future will be another day, right? You never know.
What will it bring? So we're also looking into that in the next, hopefully, weeks or month. But getting back to the sound experience, that will be at the moment it's mainly based in California and in Texas, and we are spreading out with further dealers in the next months to come.
Do you have any plans at the moment to be at any future consumer shows, hi-fi shows, 2-channel shows,
yes.
maybe CES or Expona or Cedia? So what is the future?
Well, right now, the next month, we are going to be at the high end in Munich.
Awesome! Very cool.
and we actually got a sound booth and everything so that you can really experience it. Not as when you heard it, Gilles, it was just in a how do you say,
hotel room,
not controlled environment.
Yeah.
But speaking about that, this is one of the good things about Canvas is that you can actually adjust it to any kind of room. You have this microphone, and you will just make adjustments. So even though that you are in a room that is not perfect, it will actually adapt to that to make sure that you can adjust it to any room. But at the Munich, we will have this sound booth, and we will be able to make it sound right.
Yeah, you'll be able to put your best foot forward, and
Exactly,
people will be able to experience the way that it should be, right? Oh,
and another fair we will be on is there is 3 days of design in Copenhagen. That's more like a design-wise fair in the summer. And then we will be at IFA in Berlin. We have a big booth. That is a big thing, especially here in Europe. And of course, the CES we've been, that we just went, and we'll be there next year as well. And we're looking into other fairs as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, if you have any questions about that, let me know. I'm at lots of shows, so I can give you a good opinion on it. It's very exciting, though. I mean, I think you would fit in very well at both, like the ISEs and the CDIs, right, from a custom installer kind of point of view. But then also, you have the 2-channel sensibilities, so you could do Capital Audio Fest or Expona, or you're going to be at Munich High End, right? So I think you fit in very well at all of those.
Exactly. The custom installers are some of the dealers that have very huge success with this, because they can really, as you can hear, you need to explain the concept, and you need to understand what it is, and they have this touch with the customers and being able to explain and tell the customers what's the right thing to do. So they are having a huge success, the custom installers that we have engaged with. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, this hour has gone by very quickly, and we are here at the 2 minutes till mark. So I think our time is just about out. So I want to thank both Laust and Mike for joining me tonight. So gentlemen, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to chat, and it's been great having both of you on. But not only thanks to you, but thanks to everyone that's out there watching. I know everyone's time is precious, so when you choose to join me and the guests on the show, it's a big honor that we can bring something that hopefully is useful to you and helps show you something new out in the world that you might be interested in. So thanks everybody for watching. All right, guys, again, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, take care, everybody. We'll see you in the next show.